The silver urn lay on its side among coffee grounds and yesterday's newspaper, my daughter's name, Lily, still visible through the garbage bag's translucent plastic. For a moment, I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't comprehend that my parents had thrown away all I had left of my baby girl. "What are you doing?" Mom's voice cut through my shock. She stood in the kitchen doorway, coffee mug in hand, irritation written across her face. I already took the trash out. "You threw away her ashes." My voice came out hollow, disconnected from the scream building in my chest. She rolled her eyes, actually rolled her eyes. "Stop being dramatic, Meredith. It's been 6 months. You need to stop living in the past." 6 months. As if grief had an expiration date. As if losing my daughter to a drunk driver on her way home from kindergarten came with a timeline for recovery. As if the urn that held all that remained of my 5-year-old could be discarded like expired milk. I reached into the bin with shaking hands, pulling out the urn, wiping coffee grounds from its surface. Inside, sealed in plastic, were Lily's ashes, safe despite my mother's cruelty. The relief made my knees weak. "Your sister's having a real baby," Mom continued, sipping her coffee like we were discussing the weather. "Not a memory. A real, living baby. And your moping is ruining her pregnancy experience." Dad appeared behind her, already dressed for golf. He took in the scene, me kneeling by the garbage, clutching Lily's urn, and shook his head. "Time to move on, Meredith. Diana needs positivity right now." Diana, my younger sister who'd announced her pregnancy at Lily's funeral, who'd complained that my grief was bringing down the vibe at her gender reveal, who'd asked if she could have Lily's bedroom for a nursery since it's not like you need it anymore. "You threw away my daughter," I said, standing slowly, the urn pressed against my chest. "We threw away an urn," Dad corrected. "Your daughter is gone. Holding on to ashes won't bring her back. But it might stop Diana from enjoying her pregnancy," Mom added. "Do you know how hard it is for her, seeing you like this? She's afraid to be happy about her baby because you're always crying. Always crying." I cried at Diana's baby shower last week when they played the same song from Lily's funeral. I'd excused myself quietly, spent 10 minutes in the bathroom pulling myself together, then returned with a smile and enthusiastically participated in every game. But apparently, those 10 minutes of private grief were too much. "I'm sorry my dead child is inconvenient for you," I said. "See," Mom gestured at me with her mug. "This attitude. This is why we had to do something. You're toxic, Meredith. Your grief is toxic." I looked at them, really looked at them. My parents, who'd raised me, who'd been there when Lily was born, who'd watched her take her first steps in this very kitchen. They stood there united against me, frustrated that I hadn't moved on from losing my only child quickly enough to make my sister's pregnancy more pleasant. "When Diana has her baby," I said quietly, "I hope you never have to understand what you've done to me today." "Oh, stop it," Dad said. "We did you a favor. That urn was holding you back." I walked past them, still clutching Lily's ashes. In my old room, my childhood room where I'd moved back after the accident, unable to face our empty house alone, I saw they'd already started changes. Boxes labeled Diana's baby were stacked in the corner. Paint samples in pastel colors were taped to the wall. On my dresser, where Lily's photo had sat, was a note. "Please be out by the end of the month. Diana needs to nest. Mom." They were erasing her. Erasing us. All traces of the granddaughter who'd baked cookies with Mom last Christmas, who'd helped Dad in the garden last spring, who'd filled this house with laughter and sticky handprints and joy. Gone, because her memory was inconvenient to their living grandchild's gestation period. I sat on the bed, phone in hand, and made a call. "Morgan, it's Meredith. I need to ask a favor." Morgan had been Lily's teacher. She'd spoken at the funeral about how Lily always shared her snacks, how she taught the other kids to write their names, how she'd been sunshine in human form. She'd also lost a child years ago, something we'd bonded over in the awful aftermath. "Anything?" Morgan said immediately. "What's wrong?" "My parents threw Lily's ashes in the trash. I need somewhere to go, today." The silence stretched for 3 heartbeats. Then, "I'll be there in 20 minutes. Pack what matters." What mattered? I looked around the room. Lily's favorite stuffed elephant, the quilt she'd slept with, her drawings, carefully preserved in a folder, the video of her kindergarten graduation 2 weeks before the accident. Everything else was just stuff. As I packed, I heard Mom and Diana laughing downstairs. Diana must have arrived for their morning pregnancy yoga and smoothie session. Their joy felt like glass in my ears. I made one more call, this one to a number I'd saved but never used. Garrison Family Law, how can I help you? I need to make an appointment. It's about theft and emotional distress. My parents threw away my daughter's cremated remains. The receptionist's professional tone cracked. They what? Hold on. Let me get Mr. Garrison directly. By the time Morgan arrived, I had 2 suitcases and a plan. My parents were in the living room with Diana, baby catalogs spread across the coffee table. Where are you going? Mom asked, not getting up. Away, I said. Diana rubbed her belly. Don't be so dramatic, Mer. They didn't mean anything by it. They threw away my daughter's ashes, I said flatly. Diana shrugged. It's not like Lily knew. She's gone. The casual cruelty of it, from the aunt who'd taken Lily for ice cream every Friday, who'd called her my best girl, stole my breath. You're right, I said finally. She is gone. And apparently so is the family I thought I had. Dad stood then. If you leave now, don't expect to come back. We're done enabling your wallowing. Enabling. They'd thrown away my child's ashes and called it enabling. I need you to say that again, I said, pulling out my phone. For clarity. What are you doing? Recording. Please, Dad. Tell me again how you're done enabling my wallowing over my dead 5-year-old. His face flushed. Put that away. No, you threw away my daughter's remains. You gave me an eviction notice. You've made your position clear. I'm just documenting it. You're being ridiculous, Mom snapped. Am I? Diana, would you like to repeat what you just said? About how Lily doesn't know because she's gone. Diana's hand stilled on her belly. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. You all mean it. My grief is inconvenient. My daughter's memory is inconvenient. Well, don't worry. We'll be gone within the hour. I left with Morgan, Lily's urn in my lap. Everything that mattered in her Honda. My parents didn't try to stop me. Diana called out something about being there when I came to my senses. But I didn't respond. Morgan's spare room was small but clean. That night, she helped me set up a shelf for Lily's urn, surrounded by her photos and favorite toys. It wasn't much, but it was more respect than my parents had shown. The lawyer, Mr. Garrison, was appalled. They threw away human remains. That's not just emotional distress, it's illegal in this state. Improper handling of cremated remains is a misdemeanor. I don't want them arrested, I said. I just want them to understand. What you want, he interrupted gently, is for them to face consequences. That's not the same as revenge. He was right, so we proceeded. The cease and desist letter arrived at my parents' house 3 days later. Diana called me screaming. You're suing Mom and Dad. Are you insane? I'm 7 months pregnant. The stress. They threw away Lily's ashes, I repeated, my new mantra. Get over it. God, Meredith, she's dead. She's been dead for 6 months. Move on. Like you all did. So quickly you announced your pregnancy at her funeral? Silence. Then, that's not fair. Life goes on. Yes, I agreed. It does. It goes on without you. I hung up and blocked her number. The social media post went live that evening. Not on my main account. I deactivated that after the funeral, tired of grief vultures and tone-deaf comments. But on the memorial page I created for Lily, followed by hundreds who'd known and loved her. Today, I found my daughter's ashes in my parents' garbage bin. They felt her memory was interfering with my sister's pregnancy. They told me to stop living in the past and focus on the real baby coming. I'm sharing this because grief has no timeline and no one has the right to dictate how long you mourn your child. Lily was not an inconvenience. Her memory is not toxic, and anyone who thinks otherwise has no place in my life. I attached one photo. Lily's urn in the garbage, coffee grounds visible on its surface. The response was immediate and volcanic. Morgan showed me the comments as they poured in. Lily's babysitter, her pediatrician, the mom of her best friend, parents from her kindergarten, all expressing horror, outrage, disbelief. Several offered places to stay, support, love. But it was the comment from my grandmother that broke the dam. My dad's mother, who lived in a nursing home 2 hours away. I am ashamed of my son. Lily was light itself, and her memory deserves honor. Meredith, you have a room here if you need it. Bring my great-granddaughter's ashes. We'll keep them safe together. My parents, who controlled Grandma's visits, who filtered her calls, who told her I was too unstable to see since the funeral, had no idea she figured out Facebook with the help of a kind nurse. The family fracture was instant and complete. Aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone picked sides. Most picked mine, especially after the security footage surfaced. Oh yes, security footage. My parents had installed cameras after a break-in last year. They'd forgotten about them in their eagerness to erase my daughter. But the cameras remembered everything. Mom taking the urn from my room while I was at grief counseling. Dad nodding approval. The two of them discussing how this was for the best and tough love. Mr. Garrison was thrilled. This changes everything. We have proof of intent, premeditation, and conspiracy. My phone rang constantly. Mom, Dad, Diana, they're flying monkeys. All blocked. The only call I took was from my elderly grandmother. Sweetheart, she said, her voice paper thin but steel strong, I've changed my will. The house, the trust, everything that would have gone to your father now goes to you. And I've made it clear, if they contest it, they get nothing. Grandma, you don't have to. Yes, I do. They threw away my great-granddaughter. They threw away you. Let them live with those choices. Deanna's baby shower was the next week. I heard about it from Morgan, who heard from others. Apparently, it was poorly attended. Several people, after seeing my post, declined invitations. The ones who went reported it as awkward, tense, with Mom snapping at anyone who mentioned me or Lily. Good. 2 weeks later, Diana went into labor. Dad called from a blocked number, leaving a voicemail. Your sister had the baby, a girl, 7 pounds. Maybe now you can stop punishing us and be part of this family again. Part of the family, as if I hadn't always been. As if I'd removed myself instead of being thrown away like my daughter's ashes. I didn't respond, but I did send a gift to the hospital addressed to the baby, a silver bracelet engraved with "May you always be cherished." The card read, I hope you never become an inconvenience. Aunt Meredith. Diana texted from another new number. That was cruel. I responded once. Cruelty is throwing away a grieving mother's only connection to her dead child because it interferes with your pregnancy glow. Then I blocked that number too. It's been a year now. I live with Grandma, taking care of her in exchange for room and board. Lily's urn sits on the mantel, surrounded by fresh flowers that Grandma insists on buying weekly. She deserves beauty, Grandma says, patting the urn each morning like she used to pat Lily's head. The lawsuit is ongoing. My parents' lawyer argues it was a misunderstanding, that they thought I'd want to move forward. Hard to argue when the security footage shows Mom saying, maybe if we get rid of this, she'll snap out of it. I haven't seen Deanna's baby. I've heard she looks like Lily, which must kill my sister every time someone mentions it. I've heard my parents are struggling, that Dad took early retirement because colleagues saw the post, that Mom's book club asked her not to return. I've heard they tell people I'm unstable, that I overreacted, that I'm keeping their grandchild from them out of spite. They're wrong about the last part. I'm not keeping anyone from them. I'm protecting myself and honoring my daughter's memory by staying away from people who literally threw her away. Lily would be 6 now, starting 1st grade, learning to read, losing her first tooth. Instead, she lives in an urn on Grandma's mantel, in the hearts of those who loved her, in a memorial garden at her school where children plant flowers each spring. She doesn't live in the past. She lives in the present, in every choice I make to surround myself with people who understand that grief has no timeline, that love doesn't end with death, that memories are not inconveniences to be discarded when new life comes along. My phone buzzes. Morgan, sending a photo from the memorial garden. New sunflowers, reaching toward the sky. Lily's flowers are the tallest, she writes, just like she would have been. I smile, touching the urn gently. My parents thought they were freeing me by throwing her away. Instead, they freed me from them, from the obligation to shrink my grief to make room for their comfort. Lily is not in the past. She's in every sunrise I watch with Grandma, every flower we plant, every story we tell. She's in the love that refuses to be buried in garbage bins or silenced by new babies or erased by those who find mourning inconvenient. She's my daughter. Forever, no matter who that bothers. And that's the only timeline that matters.